I am David F. Ford, and I am the director of the Main Street Museum in White River Junction, Vermont. And this is Belka. Creating the Main Street Museum was an accident. We were down on South Main Street, and I had a big empty space called Lena's Lunch. It was an old lunch counter down on South Main Street, and no one really wanted to rent it. It had wild cats living in it and a couple of raccoons. And I cleaned it all up and made a studio in it because I was doing mural restoration and painting restoration. I was cleaning paintings, oil paintings. And after I did that, there was a big storefront window, and I started putting things in the storefront window, and then everybody started giving me things also to put in the window, and all of a sudden it was a museum. So it was an accident. So we had dogs. We had a sea monster, which we exhibited at the Tunbridge Fairgrounds. What else do we have? We started doing a Russian show way back when, because I'm very fond of Russians and Russian culture, literature, music, things like that. We have a Russian art show here every August. Sometimes the taxidermy is too big, and so they got to get it out of their house if they're moving, and they don't want to take it with them. Some of this full deer mount is big, and of course that buffalo and back is very large, and doesn't fit in your house. So that's why there's a need in society for museums. You take things out of people's houses that are too big for their houses. Favorite would have to be Elvis's gallstones. Up there, there's Elvis's gallstones in a jar. They were collected in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then actually they were collected in Germany when he was on a stint in the army there. We have his toenails, and they were collected in Las Vegas, Nevada. The bird tree over there, we have a bunch of stuffed birds in that case. That came from Harvard. So that was created by some students at Harvard back in it would have to be before 1912, because there's a passenger pigeon in that case. And the passenger pigeon is now extinct. There's only 4 passenger pigeons in Vermont, and one of them is right here. The focus is objects that tell a story, so it's a narrative that can be created from an object. For instance, if you go to the beach and you save a pebble, or you save a shell, you bring a seashell back from the beach. You've all probably done that. That reminds you of the vacation or the things you did while you were at the beach. The fish grows hair in northern climates to keep it warm in the cold water. And these specimens were generally found in Scotland originally. And we have ours. It's a very, very rare display. It was discovered in a curiosity shop in New Orleans, Louisiana. So we just found a moth. I was walking to the grocery store to pick up some groceries, and I had, I think I didn't have the dogs with me. But since I was going to the grocery store, I had a bag around my shoulder. I couldn't put the moth in my bag because it would get all crushed. I figured, well, it's there flapping on the bridge, and clearly an elderly moth getting ready to give up its moth soul to the universe. And I thought, well, it won't be here when I get back, but it was a pretty moth, a very beautiful moth. It's over in that case there. And when I came back from getting my groceries, it was still there. So I figured this is a sign, so I just picked it up, carried it home, and I laid it in a display case with some moth crystals. That's naphtha. That's what old-fashioned museums smelled like. They all smelled like naphtha, which are those round white moth crystals. Maybe your grandparents or great-grandparents used them in their closets or something. But with those fumes, the moth just, cheerfully expired and donated his body to science. So he's in the case. People are tending to collect things now, and they spend a lot of money on things, and that takes it out of the public view. So people will buy something and they'll put it in their living room, and they'll spend a lot of money for these things. So people who have these valuable historical things really want to sell them for as much money as they can get. Who wouldn't? But that does take it out of the public view. So I think it's very, very important for this museum, even though we're by appointment only, to be open to the public so people can come in and see it. And any of you can come in anytime and see what's here. That's important. And these 2 dogs named Belka and Strelka are named for Russian dogs, and the 2 dogs originally that went up in space, they were the first vertebrates actually to return from space live. They went up in Sputnik, I believe. They are the originals, are taxidermied in Moscow and the Cosmonaut Museum over there. So people taxidermy just about everything. Llama gas mask actually was found in that Bridgewater antique store, and it was the central baby of the Central Park llama, or one of the Central Park llamas in New York City, and it got kicked by its mother, I think accidentally, and it died. So someone in New Hampshire taxidermied it, and they tried to sell it for years, and no one wanted to buy it, so they lowered the price drastically, and then I got it. That's a typical way that we get things here at the museum. People lower the price drastically because no one else wants them, but they find a loving home. The gas mask was originally from the municipal building across the street. There was a bomb shelter down there and a bunch of surplus army stuff for the air raids they had. This was during the Cold War. We started on South Main Street, and then we went to Hartford Village, and now we're here. And this is the old fire station. It was built in 1893. Anyone who wants to donate to the museum can do so on our website. It's just www.mainstreetmuseum.org. We also do a huge Halloween parade every October. We hope you can all come to that. That's on the Saturday closest to Halloween. I think it's the 27th this year. The most recent artifact we have is a painting on birch bark by the Russian artist Fyodor Hiroshige, and it's in our case right up front in the gallery there, and it features Belka and Strelka, the original Soviet space dogs, painted on birch bark and burned onto birch bark. She is a very talented artist who lives in St. Petersburg, and a friend.
Thank you for coming to the interview.
Thank you very much, and Belka thanks you too. Spasiba. Spasiba большое.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.